Ages 2 to 3. Now we are going forward 2 to 3 age. One more year added. So including the telegraphic stage. Okay, period and thereafter, there is a huge increase in the vocabulary activity used with the child, often by as many 10 words per week. Per week now. We understand, we have an understanding that by the end of the second year, they have 200 words vocabulary. But now per week, every week 10 words added, 10 words added. Rough estimates give the vocabulary of about 2,000 words by the age of 5. Now they're having 2,000 words by the age of 5. Earlier, 200 words by the age of 2. By the 5 years old, they have 2,000 vocabulary. Many of these words are acquired between the age of 2 or 3. The name of this stage of the language development is taken from telegrams, right? This word is taken from the telegrams. Telegram means messages, which were printed from a telegraph machine. Definitely technology is used. From the late 19th to 20th centuries, telegrams were used to deliver urgent messages. And because they were paid for according to the number of the words, they were usually very brief and only key information was included. For example, arriving Kuala Lumpur, 9 p.m. Okay, earlier there were telegrams. What we have now, which has the lesser number of units there, lesser number of words there. In the old times, what happened? We have telegrams. There were no tweets at that time, so we had telegrams. Telegrams were the messages were conveyed, right? They were written down and they were faxed and they were sent it to the other person. So this telegraphic stage is taken from the telegram. Now we have tweets. In the same way, messaging, we are throwing our messages or conveying a message to others. In the same way, babies use telegraphic stage. They have the telegraphic stage. They start to convey their messages. How now? Children have to learn to express their meaning using their limited vocabulary. This often causes overextension. As I was discussing in the previous stage, holophrastic stage, these children learn one word. They don't know how to use it for what purpose. So they start overusing it. When something is overused, it means overextension. Overextension is one stage in telegraphic. Remember this thing. When a word is used more broadly than it should be, this occurs at a very early age of the child language acquisition. For example, the word daddy might be applied to all men. For example, if the uncle comes home, they say daddy. It is overextension that they have learned one word daddy as a male person. Whosoever is a male person at home, they call him daddy. Siblings' name may be used for other children. You must have noticed, observed this thing as well. If they learn one sibling's name, they use it for all the children come to that home. And words for items which distinctive properties such as plate may be used for other things sharing those properties, like the full moon. This is quite a common feature of language acquisition at this age as the child begins to know more of the world around them. Overextension sometimes gives way to underextension. Okay. Remember these two stages in the telegraphic stage. Telegraphic stage, they are conveying the messages. Now they have more feelings to convey. So they have less words to convey with. So what they use, more feelings, they use the same words which they already have in their dictionary. So they use overextension. Sometimes they use underextension. Extension means where a word is used in a narrow context. For example, a child may use shoes to mean his or her own shoes, but no one else. For example, the word daddy is using for every man, every man, right? But when they have the word shoes, they say only my shoes, mommy shoes, but they don't use the same word shoes to them. Sibling shoes, they don't use the same word for them. They feel that whatever is their belonging is only called shoes. So it is called underextension. Overextension, a process used by young children to extend the meaning of a word, overgeneralization, like, right? Underextension, the use of a word in a limited way where it does not recognize its full meaning. Two things are very important for your analysis. Because, for example, we are given a conversation with a person, with a child is using overextension. It means overextension means he's using the same word for many different things, which he does not do so. So that is very important for your analysis point of view. And there is one thing more coming, overgeneralization. It is also very important point. We will read this later. It is about grammar, right? The telegraphic stage follows on from the two-word stage, where a child utterances become longer and more grammatically complex and complete utterances emerge. Although some parts may be missing, the word now have a greater purpose than the simply identification of people and objects, and are still condensed. Look at the following examples. Food, all gone. Mummy, come home. We, going now. Daddy, get juice. Asma, not sharing ball. It means he is conveying every message very clearly. The child is now much more linguistically coherent. The word order is usually straightforward with the subject, food, word, and though often omitting the auxiliary words. What do you mean by auxiliary? Auxiliary verbs means it is written there, is. All the is, are, am, these are auxiliary verbs. Do, did, these are all auxiliary. Is, am, are basically auxiliary. These are linking, helping verb, but remember which words. For example, is an auxiliary verb. If I say may, might, what are these? These are modal verbs. So here your grammar works, right? Your grammar should be good, that you should know what is auxiliary. For your analysis, you need such terminologies. Okay, there's additional information such as prepositions to, from, under, determiners, and the determiners, articles. One more thing, determiners means whatever comes before noun. For example, I say, I need some sugar. I need some sugar. Some is your determiner too, right? Some is your determiner too. So whatever comes before a noun is your determiner. And inflection suffixes to show tense person. This is these, okay, inflections. What are inflection suffixes? These one. The ending called inflections, are omitted in the early telegraphic stages but appear over time. They have no concern with the inflections. They have no concerns with the determiners. Means basic grammar. Children, babies, they are not aware of it. So pronunciation difficulties still continue. The child is able to produce a wide range of consonants, p, t, d, n, w, okay, f, w, and with k, g, and ing followed later. Other more difficult sound combinations are ch, j, and the, th. The later being one of the more difficult sounds to say. When the children cannot say polysyllabic, okay, monosyllabic we have read one. What is poly? Many syllables. For example, telephone, television. For example, banana becomes nana. Okay, banana, you can't say. So they say nana. Interaction with adults shows the child the correct form of the utterance spoken with the adult who is conversing with them. Right? Okay. For example, child says at a station, train, big train. Yes. Oh, father says yes. Up we go into this train. Careful now, it will be going soon. See, the guard is blowing his whistle. Okay, only short pauses for the breath. And here the baby is only saying train, big train. Only whatever starts with the consonant, right? So he's adding the size and the object. That's it. Even when children are unable to pronounce a word correctly, they recognize the correct pronunciation from adults. Interesting research from Burko and Brown. Very important point, very important research. Remember this because it will be needed for your analysis. Burko and Brown. Burko and Brown comes telegraphic, under telegraphic stage. Involved a child which called his plastic fish. Okay, remember this Burko Brown analysis. What these two scientists, what they have done. They involved a child. They took a child who called his plastic fish. It was not real fish. Fish. Sure is missing, right? When the adults imitated the child's pronunciation and asked, "Is this your fish?" the child replied, "No, my fish." After this, the adult said, "Is this your fish?" And the child answered, "Yes, my fish." For example, the adult, he said the right thing, like fish, but the child did not get, he didn't get confused. He knew that they are saying the same word as I'm saying fish, but they were used to saying the same thing. That's why they didn't change it, but they understand that the same thing the person, the adult, the caretaker said. The child language production, what is said, goes hand in hand with the rapid progress of language perception. What is understood, they can now understand two clause commands such as pick up daddy, and bring him here, please. Now they are saying clauses. Contrasting concepts such as hot and cold, they are much more engaged in the language and activities of the household, such as meeting a visit on speech. You're talking to yourself, right? And you must have seen in the babies, it's very it's frequent. It means it's we always see this thing in all babies almost, that they are playing with themselves. And sometimes mothers get they get worried about this thing as well, that they are talking to somebody, so they feel that something going wrong in their brains. But this is a type of stage now. So what is going on there, that the children, they play with themselves. First, monologues mean they are talking to themselves, and then later there is a stage comes that when they start copying their adults, and they start having the dialogues with themselves again. They feel that this teddy bear is somebody to talk with, so they start having a conversation with that teddy bear. So that becomes dialogue. So we just see what happens in the monologue. From the age about 2, children will often provide a running commentary about what they are doing as they are doing it. This may extend into their imaginative play. So Mehdi, that is a boy, I think, aged 2.5 years old, is playing with his trains. And one more thing, telegraphic stage, we read yesterday that they have at least 2,000 words are added up. What is Mehdi doing here? Train here, makes train noises. Okay, he's making the train noises. No train, yes, more train, come, drives toy train and carriages quickly along the tracks, and they fall off. Train over, train back, oh dear, all fall over, train here, means whatever he's doing, he's explaining. Thomas train, Gordon train, now he's naming these trains. Room means he's making noise, go into your house trains. Okay, that means whatever the child is doing, child is explaining to himself that what I'm doing. So this is monologue going on. He's not talking to anybody, he's just talking to about his own activity to himself. As the child becomes older, these short monologues become more like narratives, particularly when accompanying imaginative play. So Willow, nearly 4, now another child, is playing with her doll. She's a girl now. Now time for bed, time to go to bed. Come on, babies, time for bed. It means she's talking to somebody now. Again, let's put you in the car. Do you want your milk now? That's nice. Drink it up. Now to bed. He is doing the same thing as a mother does it. You have to go to bed because mommy said, bed, night, sleep tight, night. Okay, tight. Now this is monologue. Monologue means talking to oneself. Okay, do you have monologues at this age now? We have at this age as well. We usually have monologues, and how we have monologues in our brain. Now we are not saying it in the words. The children and the babies, the difference between the babies and us is this, that they just say it louder. So we adults have the monologues in our brain. We are not saying it aloud. Only the difference is this. Otherwise, we sometimes talk to ourselves as well. For example, we are preparing something, some discussion with somebody. We just rehearse it in our brain. So while looking in front of the mirror, we are discussing the same thing. While we are making tea or something, we are having the monologues in our brain. So it is again the monologue. Definitely no words, no speech, but there is a monologue going on in our brain. Okay, what is dialogue now? We have seen how important interaction is between the infant and members of the family, particularly the caregiver. This develops from day one and is held by the attention of the adult or other sibling or older sibling to the sound that the baby makes.